A woman can judge you from a single hug, not your words, not your looks, just one moment of physical contact. And in those few seconds, she decides if she feels safe with you or if she'll never see you the same again. But there's something important most conversations about attraction get wrong. A hug isn't a secret code that lets you manipulate a woman's emotions, and there isn't a magic pressure point that automatically makes someone desire you. What a hug can reveal, however, is something much more meaningful: how two people experience comfort, trust, boundaries, and emotional closeness in the same moment. Think about the last time someone hugged you and it felt completely natural. Maybe you remember their warmth, the feeling of finally relaxing around them, or the strange sense that neither of you wanted the moment to end. Now compare that with a hug that felt stiff, rushed, or uncomfortable. The difference wasn't necessarily physical technique. It was the emotional atmosphere surrounding the touch. And if you've ever wondered why one person can hug you and somehow make you feel completely at ease, while another person's touch makes you instinctively pull away, stay with me. Because the psychology behind that difference can teach you a lot about attraction and even more about respect, confidence, and emotional connection. Before we go deeper, think about your own experience. Have you ever had a hug that you still remember years later? Maybe it came from someone you loved, someone you missed, or someone you secretly had feelings for. Tell me in the comments what made that hug memorable. Your answer might help someone else understand something they've been feeling but couldn't put into words. And if you're watching because you've ever struggled to understand whether a woman feels comfortable around you, don't worry, you aren't alone. Many people become so focused on trying to get attraction right that they forget the simplest principle. Real connection isn't created by forcing a reaction. It's created when both people feel comfortable enough to be present. Mary Smith, host of Senior Mindful Living YouTube channel. Today, we're going to explore 4 psychological factors that can make a hug feel emotionally meaningful. Not tricks, not manipulation, not ways to override someone's boundaries. Instead, these are 4 qualities that can make physical affection feel warm, safe, and genuinely connected when the interest is mutual. The first is attunement. Imagine you're greeting a woman you know well. You move toward her, but instead of immediately deciding exactly how the hug should happen, you pay attention. Does she move toward you too? Does she open her arms? Does she seem relaxed? Does she hesitate or remain physically distant? That tiny moment tells you more than any technique ever could. Psychologists often talk about interpersonal attunement, the ability to notice another person's emotional and physical signals and respond appropriately. In a healthy relationship, attraction isn't just about expressing what you want. It's also about noticing what the other person is communicating. For example, suppose you approach someone and she enthusiastically steps forward and wraps her arms around you. Her body is relaxed, she stays close, and she naturally returns the affection. That's very different from someone who gives you a brief side hug while keeping her body angled away. The mature response isn't to think, how can I make her react differently? It's to recognize the difference. That is confidence. Real confidence doesn't ignore boundaries. It doesn't push harder when someone pulls away. Real confidence is being comfortable enough with yourself to respect another person's comfort without taking it personally. And this brings us to the second factor, calm presence. Have you ever noticed that some people make you feel relaxed simply by being around them? They aren't necessarily the most handsome person in the room. They aren't talking constantly. They aren't trying to impress everyone. Yet when they walk into a conversation, there's something steady about them. That quality can matter during physical affection too. When you're nervous, your body often reveals it. Your shoulders tighten. Your breathing becomes shallow. You rush. You may become overly focused on whether you're doing it right. And the irony is that trying too hard to create attraction can make the interaction feel less natural. Instead, take a breath, relax your shoulders, stay present. Don't treat the hug like a performance you need to execute perfectly. A simple exercise can help with this. The next time you're about to greet someone you care about, take one slow breath before you move toward them. Feel your feet on the ground, relax your jaw, let your shoulders drop, then let the interaction unfold naturally. You're not trying to create a psychological effect. You're simply becoming more present, and that difference matters. When two people already feel safe with each other, calm physical contact can become a form of emotional communication. A hug can say, I'm happy to see you. It can say, I've missed you. It can say, you're not alone. The meaning comes from the relationship, not from a particular hand position. And that's where we need to correct one common piece of attraction advice. You've probably heard that placing your hand at a certain spot on a woman's back will supposedly activate some hidden feeling of safety or desire. There isn't good evidence that one specific area of the back functions as a universal psychological trigger. The same touch can feel comforting from one person and uncomfortable from another. Why? Because touch is interpreted through context. Who is touching you? How well do you know them? Do you trust them? What is the relationship? What happened immediately before the hug? And most importantly, do you actually want the contact? Your brain doesn't experience touch in isolation. It interprets it through emotional and social information. That's why a hug from a loved one can feel comforting, while an unwanted hug from a stranger can feel invasive, even though the physical action looks similar from the outside. Now let's talk about the third factor, duration. The original idea that holding a woman for a precise extra half second will automatically create desire sounds convincing, but human attraction isn't that mechanical. There is no universal countdown where attraction suddenly switches on. Instead, think about reciprocity. A comfortable hug usually has a rhythm. One person moves closer. The other person responds. The embrace happens. Both people participate, and eventually one or both begin to release. If someone continues holding you after you've started pulling away, the emotional meaning changes immediately. That's why the most important question isn't, how long should I hold her? Is she still participating? Imagine two people who have been dating for several months. They haven't seen each other all week. When they finally meet, they hug, neither immediately pulls away, and they both laugh because they realize how much they missed each other. That longer hug means something. Now imagine meeting someone who isn't comfortable with physical affection. You hug briefly and she immediately steps back. That shorter interaction means something too. Neither person is wrong. They're simply communicating different levels of comfort. This is why reading body language should never mean looking for secret signs that override someone's actual behavior. If she steps back, give her space. If she becomes stiff, don't tighten your embrace. If she doesn't reciprocate, don't interpret her hesitation as a challenge. And if she enthusiastically reciprocates, you don't need to analyze every millisecond. Sometimes the healthiest sign of mutual attraction is simply that both people feel comfortable being themselves. The fourth factor is emotional meaning. This may be the most powerful one of all. A hug becomes memorable when it represents something. Think about a couple who has just received difficult news. One person doesn't know what to say, so they simply hold the other person. There may be no clever words, no seduction, no strategy. Yet that hug can become one of the most meaningful moments in their relationship. Why? Because touch is carrying emotional information. It communicates support when words aren't enough. Researchers studying affectionate touch have found that consensual physical affection can be associated with feelings of closeness, comfort, and connection. But again, the key word is consensual. Touch doesn't create trust out of nothing. It can express trust that already exists. This distinction is incredibly important. If a woman already feels emotionally safe with you, a warm hug can deepen that sense of connection. But if she doesn't trust you, trying to manufacture intimacy through physical contact won't solve the underlying problem. In fact, it can make things worse. So if you want to become someone people genuinely feel good around, don't focus on mastering the perfect hug. Focus on becoming emotionally safe. Listen when someone speaks. Don't mock vulnerability. Don't pressure people to give you affection. Keep your word, respect boundaries, be comfortable with a no. And don't become resentful when someone isn't attracted to you. These qualities may not sound as exciting as a secret attraction trigger, but they are far more powerful in building relationships that actually last. There's also something else worth noticing. Sometimes a person isn't rejecting you at all. They simply have a different relationship with physical affection. Some people love hugs, some prefer handshakes, some only hug close friends. Some people need more time before physical touch feels natural. And especially as we get older, relationships can become more nuanced. People carry histories, experiences, losses, and different ideas about intimacy. A mature approach recognizes that every person brings a different emotional history into a relationship. So instead of asking, how do I make her want me? Try asking a better question. How does she feel when she's around me? Does she feel respected? Does she feel heard? Does she feel free to say no? Does she laugh naturally? Does she initiate contact sometimes? Does she seek out your company? Does she seem relaxed rather than pressured? Those questions give you much more useful information than trying to decode one physical gesture. And here's a simple, practical exercise you can try. The next time you're with someone you're attracted to, don't spend the entire interaction monitoring her reactions. For 5 minutes, put your attention somewhere else. Listen to what she says. Notice her emotions. Ask a genuine question. Let silence happen without rushing to fill it. And when physical affection naturally becomes appropriate, don't think about technique. Think about connection. If you're unsure whether a hug is welcome, asking is perfectly okay. Can I give you a hug? That sentence doesn't destroy attraction. For the right person, it can actually demonstrate emotional maturity. And if she says yes, allow the hug to be what it is. Warm, natural, mutual. No hidden agenda, no pressure, no attempt to create an involuntary emotional response. Because here's the paradox of attraction. The more desperately you try to control another person's feelings, the less authentic the connection becomes. But when you become comfortable enough to let another person choose freely, you create the possibility of something much deeper. Mutual attraction, mutual trust, mutual affection. And that's what makes a hug unforgettable. Not the exact position of your hand, not an extra half second, not a secret cheek technique. It's the feeling behind the moment. Think about someone you genuinely care about. If you hugged them today, what would you want them to feel? Safe? Seen? Loved? Comforted? Desired? Whatever your answer is, let that intention guide your behavior, not some formula designed to manipulate attraction. And if you're currently dating and trying to understand whether a woman is interested in you, remember this. Don't build your entire conclusion around one hug. Look at the pattern. Does she initiate conversations? Does she make time for you? Does she remember details about your life? Does she seem genuinely interested in spending time together? Does she communicate clearly? Does she reciprocate affection? Patterns are much more reliable than isolated moments. And if the answer isn't what you hoped for, don't see that as a judgment of your worth. Someone not being attracted to you doesn't make you unattractive. Someone needing more space doesn't mean you failed. Someone wanting a friendship instead of romance doesn't mean you weren't enough. Healthy attraction requires two people. You can control how you show up. You cannot control what someone else feels. And accepting that isn't weakness, it's emotional strength. So the next time you share a hug with someone you care about, forget the tricks. Slow down, be present, notice their response, respect their boundaries, and allow the moment to be mutual. Because the most attractive thing you can communicate through physical affection isn't, I know how to make you want me. It's something much simpler. I feel comfortable with you and I respect you enough to let you be comfortable with me. That is the kind of presence people remember. And if this video gave you a new perspective on attraction and emotional connection, take a moment to like it and share it with someone who might find it useful. And if you've ever experienced a hug that communicated more than words ever could, tell us about it in the comments without sharing anything too personal. Subscribe to Senior Mindful Living and turn on notifications if you want more thoughtful conversations about psychology, relationships, emotional connection, and the subtle behaviors that shape the way we experience one another. Because sometimes the deepest lessons about attraction aren't about learning how to make someone desire you. They're about learning how to make another person feel safe enough to be themselves. And that is where genuine connection begins.